We're talking about how stress affects your training and your nutrition. So, overall, in general, focusing and worrying about stuff that has nothing and doesn't matter in the long run can really ruin your goals and set you up for failure. And stress is extremely important as it affects pretty much every part of your life, specifically your body. It affects the way that you view the world, it affects your feelings, and it affects your overall performance when it comes to the gym and how well you will recover from that training session. The thing about stress is that it can literally come from anywhere at any point. Something that you really can't control when it comes on. It's just through situations that pop up and how you decide to handle those situations. So things including your job, your boss, school and homework, an argument or a fight with your spouse or significant other, walking down the streets, or even just sitting in traffic. Maybe someone just decided to cut you off because they have road rage, or maybe you're that person. It literally can be any situation at any point, anytime. So here's the thing. There's two types of stress, or should I say two main types of stress. There's acute stress and then there's chronic stress. Now, acute stress, that happens to all of us all the time, sometimes multiple times per day. And that consists of situations that causes us to act, right? You may have heard of the fight or flight response, right? So by definition, the fight or flight response is a physiological reaction that occurs in response to a perceived harmful event, attack, or threat to survival. So this situation can be where you're just walking home and out of nowhere, a huge dog just decides to run across the street and just start chasing you for blocks, right? And your heart just starts pounding and the world starts to slow down a little bit. And he keeps chasing you and you decide to turn around and throw your basketball at it and you miss everything. Then you got to turn around and keep running and running and running until it decides to stop chasing you, right? Now, if you couldn't tell, that was definitely a personal story that actually happened to me. And that's your acute response kicking in, right? Sometimes acute stress can be less physically dangerous. Things like you running late for work, or you're pulling up to the grocery store, you start walking up to the door. Then right before you walk in, you realize you forgot your mask at home, right? Things like that. So the thing is, acute response can actually be helpful and even motivating, in fact, by helping you become better. Let's say, for the first example, when you were running late for work, as opposed to letting that happen again, you plan for the future by waking up 45 minutes earlier. And that keeps you on point, gets you to work early. Or the second example, when you walked up to that grocery store, now, as opposed to letting it happen again, maybe you decide to do a checklist before you leave the house, right? So it can help prepare you for better situations. The acute response gives you the focus to deal with that specific situation and to deal with that threat, as it kicks your metabolic systems into high gear and it gives you the energy that it takes to run away or get ready to fight, right? And after that stressor has passed, things go back to normal. However, our bodies are not so effective at handling chronic stress. So things like when your boss is micromanaging you, or criticizing your performance at work, or you get into an altercation, a fight, a verbal argument with your spouse, and it's just draining, and you can't necessarily run away in that situation, right? Or fight either. Maybe you technically can, but we all know that's not a good situation to be in. All right, so this chronic stress affects your body in negative ways. It causes just a cloud over our heads, and our mental capacity just becomes so narrow and focused on those situations and how they make us feel. And they tend to drift over into other areas of our lives, right? And if we keep letting that happen, it builds this chronic stress mindset, and that can kind of lead into those things of anxiety and depression, and that's not what we want, right? So overall, stress is not necessarily good or bad, it just is. It's just something that we as humans have to deal with. Now, when it comes to training, Stress is what signals your body to adapt to something, right? When our bodies view something as a threat, the stress response kicks in and it causes our bodies to adapt and be better equipped to handle that situation in the future moving forward. And like I mentioned, this is what happens when we're actually in the gym. Lifting weights is an acute stressor. The body senses that pressure as a threat to our stability of our muscles and our connective tissue. So our bodies then adapt by making our muscles stronger, making our bones more dense, making our tendons bigger, stronger, and better, right? However, in a situation of chronic stress, our body's ability to appropriately adapt becomes compromised, right? Because it's not just what you do in the gym that matters. It's not just how well you eat or how well you sleep that determines how your body will adapt to that training. Although those are the main things and are extremely important, the chronic stress that we deal with pretty much every single day affects how those things go, right? It affects how you perform in the gym. So for example, if you are on your way to the gym and that situation where someone cuts you off and almost causes a car accident, and you make it to the gym okay, but now you're just stressed out about that and it's on your mind all while you're performing in your gym session, right? You may not be able to lift the normal amount of weight that you probably would have been able to, right? It affects your feelings, it affects your focus, and that's all you're thinking about. Same thing as if you get into an argument with your spouse or something like that. It affects your nutrition, how you choose to go about eating. Maybe you were on point all day long with your calories, and right before dinner, you get into a huge argument, things blow up, and now, as opposed to eating the 500 calories that you had planned for dinner, now you're indulging in 1,000 calories plus some ice cream plus some snacks and stuff because you're upset about how that situation went and you're getting stressed out about it. Like, all of these things matter. Or maybe not even anything to do with a spouse or traffic. Maybe it's something to do with being able to pay your bills, right? Maybe it's something you're getting stressed out about work, and that affects how you sleep at night. That affects your ability to get the proper amount of rest that you need to be able to recover properly. All of these things count. All of these things matter, which is why it's very important to focus on managing your stress and to try to remove stress whenever possible out of your life, right? The wrong type of stress, we should say. So here's a few things that you can use to try to deal with the stress as it comes, because it will always come and we're never going to have a stress-free life. We just have to figure out how we can handle the stress and categorize it and not let it take over our mindset and how we perform throughout the day. So one thing you can do is try to perform or to practice some form of meditation. If not meditation, if you don't like the word, maybe you can, just try to sit and listen to some calming music and just quiet your mind from all of the normal chaotic thoughts and the busyness of how much you have to do for the day, right? Just spend 5 to 10 minutes of trying to quiet your mind and just focus, and just focusing on your breath, focusing on breathing deep, feeling your body and such. And that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is minimize your time that you spend on social media just mindlessly scrolling. Now, we all know how social media works. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that's popular while you're listening to this. There's literally never stop ending scrolls, right? You can scroll until next week and never run out of things to see. So when you're doing this, you're just letting your mind just go through a series of things that may not be best beneficial for you. Maybe that's seeing people with the bodies that are attractive and great looking, but things that are unrealistic to accomplish, maybe because they had surgery or they're on steroids and things like that, and it may cause you to shape how you feel about yourself and your progress. So instead of doing that, read an interesting book or listen to an audio book or listen to these podcasts or listen to something that's beneficial. Find something that can help build you up versus making you envy or jealous or feeling sad or mad or angry. Don't let the media control how you feel about yourself and the world. You shape how you feel about the world through things that you want to focus on and what you want to believe in, all right? So another thing that you can do is whenever you start to feel yourself get stressed out, go for a little walk, right? If you can't go for a walk, just again, focus on taking some deep breaths. Inhaling, exhaling. Do that 5 to 10 times. Close your eyes, like really focus on quieting the mind and just being at peace with yourself, all right? Something else you can do is spending more time with your family, with your friends. If you have limited those or you stay by yourself, you live in a state by yourself, focus on finding a new hobby. Try to learn how to play the piano, or try to learn a new language or a new skill set, or maybe start boxing or dancing, something, singing. Find something that can really help build you up in a way that you find interesting and that you enjoy, right? The other thing that you need to do is stop focusing on past failures or past mistakes, things that went wrong previously. Focus on things that you can do today to start building yourself up for a better future. That's always the best path. We really can't do too much about the mistakes, and maybe it's not even mistakes, but the things that just went wrong in the past. Maybe you were done wrong, but you can't do much about that right now. What we can do is build for a better future, set some new goals, get organized, and really just build the life that we want moving forward, right? So I hope this helps. I hope this helps understand how stress can affect your training, how it can affect your nutrition, and how we have to try to manage it and remove it as much as possible, and not let things that can be a stressful situation become a stressful situation, right? Learn how to deal with those situations so that you can get the best results with your body, your nutrition, your overall health and well-being, the best results that you possibly can, all right? Talk to y'all soon.